This presentation will cover how to use the trim and extend commands. These two are sister commands which are very similar in how they are used, although the results are different. One will trim objects, which will remove a portion of the object while part of it stays on the screen, and the other will extend objects to an entity on the screen. We'll start with the trim command. I've got some examples here on the screen, so I will go down and select trim off the Modify toolbar, and then I'll go and I'll select my object. So if I go over and I select an object on the screen, notice that it said select cutting edges. That's a term only used with the trim command. That is going to be the knife or the cutting point in which it will remove objects that are selected after this point. So after I'm done selecting cutting edges, always remember to hit enter. Then it says select object to trim. I'm going to select my objects here, and notice as I select them, they are trimmed. When I am complete, I hit enter to end the command. Trim command is one of the commands that will repeat until you hit enter or escape to end the command. So again, my cutting edge was an entity that I selected on the screen, which in this case was the line. Let's try trimming with multiple cutting edges. I can go trim again, and I'll select two lines from my cutting edges. And I'll hit enter, and I'll select the lines in between to be cut off or removed. Now notice I could trim the middle part, I can also trim the end parts. I cannot go over and trim this last piece because that would be not trimming it, but it would be deleting it or erasing it. There is an option for that, but I just as soon go and use the erase command if you need to get rid of the entire object. I'm going to hit escape to end the command. You can trim other entities other than just lines. I can trim circles or arcs, polylines. Many different shapes can be trimmed. So I'm going to go back to trim again, and I'll select my two. I'll select everything. I'll select both lines and the circle. I'll hit enter. I can trim away parts of the circle, or I can trim away parts of the lines. When I'm done, I hit enter, or I can just right click and hit enter. That is the trim command. The extend command works very similar to this. I can go to extend, which is right below trim on the Modify toolbar, select extend, select the line that I want to extend the items to, hit enter. When I'm done selecting the boundary edges, which is a term only associated with the extend command, now I can extend the lines up to that entity. I'll hit enter to end. I'll hit enter to repeat the command. I'll select another line, enter, and I extend these lines that I just trimmed. I can extend them back. Okay, so that is the basic trim and extend commands. Now I'm going to use pan and pan over to some other items that I have on my screen. And with that, I'm going to use trim. So I'll go to trim. I'm going to select my cutting edges. In this case, I'll select the two roof lines of like a gable end. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to hit F for the fencing option to select the entities, and I'm going to draw a line that touches all these entities and goes down the other side and selects these entities, and I might have missed some, so I'll go back and I'll kind of crisscross here. So again, I can just keep drawing a fence pattern until I hit everything, and I'm going to hit enter. Notice that it multiple trims everything that I selected using those two cutting edges. Extend will work the same way. I'll go to the extend command. I'll select both of my angled roof lines, hit enter, F for the fence option, and I'll draw a fence across all those lines. When I'm done, I hit enter, and it extends all those lines up. So again, that would be like vertical siding or something. There's some other commands that can help with that, but just don't forget that you have multiple trim and multiple extend options. I'll hit enter, and I'll pan over to one last item. These items are actually found on page 179 in your book, under number 5. It first tells you to draw a rectangular shape that's 3 by 5 with a circle diameter of 3.5. So that's what I've done here, and then I've copied it so I have 4 pieces of it. But to trim item B so that it matches the book, what I want to do is first select trim and then select the circle to be able to trim the two lines. So I'll hit trim, trim. So I selected the cutting edge was a circle, and I trimmed the two lines. Hit enter to finish. Now item C is going to be a little bit different. For item C, I'll go to trim, and I'll want to select the circle and the two lines for cutting edges, hit enter, and then trim away both of the lines and the circle parts so that it looks like it matches the book. I'll hit enter to end that. I'll continue trimming, and I'll select the circle again and both of the lines as cutting edges, hit enter, and now I'm going to trim away the circles and that last one so that it appears like the object on the screen. I want you to go ahead and practice using the trim and extend commands on page 179 number 5 and number 6 are good examples of some practice problems that you could do to practice both trim and extend. And in the process, if you have any questions, make sure to contact me. And this will end the presentation for the trim and extend command.